Okay, so we were talking about promises, and we'd come up with this little script here that allowed us to see if a number was smaller than 2. And so we can run it like this. And it claims that the number 1 is smaller than 2. Alright, let's push on and learn about promise chaining, which takes us a little bit further. I'm going to just rewrite this function ever so slightly, and rather than deal with my dubious typing, we're just going to paste it in there. So it's the same one as the previous function. We're just calling it, giving it a more logical name rather than my promise. So now we're calling it larger than 0, and it tests whether a number is larger than 0. And if it's not, the number gets rejected. So we create a promise. We check if the input passed in is larger than 0. If it is, we go good. We resolve it positively. Else, we reject it. So let's see how that works. And as you can see, it works. Maybe we could even write something like this. And now we get that. Or if we passed in a different number, and why don't we make it a little easier to run the test here? We'll go and we'll this way we can run little values through it and see what we get. So now we can do check 0, check -1, and check 1, which would give us at least some sort of feedback on how our thing is doing. And you can see 0 and 1 are accepted but rejected because the number -1 is rejected because of that. Well, so another thing we could check is if a number is one thing we ought to check if we're doing this is to see, well, look, is what we're doing actually a number? So one thing we could do is write in a little code here that will test if a number is a number. And we'll come up here. Looks like we need just a little more space here, don't we, to be able to see everything clearly. Okay. So now I've copied in. Up here I have a little isNumeric function, and to my deep embarrassment, either because the language we use is crazy or because I can't figure it out, I got this one off of Stack Overflow, which checks if a number is a number or not. And so I call this method number chunk checker. I create a promise. I check if it is a numeric number. If so, I push it forward. If wait, I reject it because it's not a number. So now we've got 2 tests we want to run. And how do we do that? Well, the first one, logically, we would want to do is we want to see whether we want to run our number checker first, right? Because that would be the most logical thing to do. But then you change. If you want to call another one, you just chain it in there. You don't have to do anything else. You can just go like that. So now we want to add another check here to see if foo is a number, right? So now we'll come over here and we run it and we see that 0 is accepted, 1 is accepted, -1 is rejected because it's smaller than 0, and foo is rejected because it's not a number. But notice this sort of nice syntax that we've got here. And then once you're on a roll like this, you can kind of keep going, right? You could create another function which, say, checks whether the number is larger than 100, right? So this one says, checks, is the number larger than we start a promise. If the input is larger or equal to 100, we resolve it positively, else we reject the number because it is larger than 100. So in order to chain that one in, we just write then larger than 100, right? You see how clean this is? We can start really doing we can do things fairly quickly here, and when we run it, it's 0 is accepted, 1 is accepted 100, but we reject foo because it's not a number, reject -1 because it's smaller than 0, and reject 101 because it's larger than 100. So this is the key syntax here, right? We're able to use one catch statement for our errors, these guys over here, and we're able to just chain additional methods onto it because they get passed the input. They get passed, resolve gets passed to them with the input from the previous one, and it just chains on, right? It's very clean. It's very simple. All right.